Hello, Robert Kelly here, and I'd like to share with you how I use both Moodle as well as Google for my human development class. You're looking at Moodle right now, and one of the things I like about Moodle is it's very straightforward and easy to use. It's set up almost as a single web page where you can take certain elements and make them visible, or you can hide them. And you can do that with a single click. And that makes it pretty easy in terms of making units visible or not visible as the semester progresses. In terms of this particular class, one of the things I wanted to do was do a flipped classroom style so that I had time to cover American Psychological Association citation style. So as we go through this unit very quickly, uh, it looks a little bit more high-tech than my typical class might be. So students are expected before the class begins to have completed the critical thinking questions in the assigned reading and to take a survey on their understanding. They're also expected to bring with them a written assignment based upon the previous class meeting and to have done an annotated bibliography on one of their resources. In terms of coming to class prepared, I give them critical thinking questions that they're expected to read through and be prepared to answer when called upon in the class session. So that they have preparation, there's both the textbook as well as different online resources that I found and made available to them. So here was one quick uh, crash course on genetics, and they can click on the video and then start it, and they can make it bigger if they want or return it back to its normal size. So that's one of the things that helps them. And I mentioned I had done this as a flipped classroom. I wanted to have more in-class time to work with the students, and as I mentioned, cover the American Psychological Association style for citing. And so one of my basic lectures I decided to record in advance and make available to them. And so here is a case where they have all the slides in advance, and this is posted on Google. And then the lecture itself is posted as a YouTube, so they can. Hello, welcome to our go through and look at the slides as well as listen to the presentation. I did this one as a flipped class because so many students come already knowing genetics, and yet there's another group that has no clue about genetics. And so there's a huge diversity in the class understanding about it. And so rather than having some students just sitting there totally bored to tears and the other group lost, this seemed to be a nice approach. And students' feedback was very good about it. So as mentioned, they do the critical thinking questions. In this case, it also had a flipped classroom recorded lesson. They have their reading assignment. Here was a reading assignment from the Critical Thinking's Concepts and Tools booklet, focusing on critical thinking, helping to prepare them for class discussions, as well as the assignment from the textbook. Then we have the classroom presentation slides, which again are in Google. And this is very much like PowerPoint, only I do it in Google and I can access it from anywhere, and my students can too when I make it available to them. And so here you can see I have different slides. I bring up some material that was in their preparation slide set to discuss in further depth about. Students then take a survey before coming to class, and the survey just asks like their name and then checks their own self-assessment on how knowledgeable they are on the different critical thinking questions, and ask them, hey, which of these critical thinking questions would you be willing to take charge in helping your fellow students with? And I call them on that. I then have them help their students, or I'll call on them in class to respond to some of those questions to begin with. When I go into the class presentation slides, I do have one slide here that says survey results. And so during class I can bring up the survey results, and you can see that here are the different critical thinking questions sets. Each row represents the different students. And green is, hey, they feel they understand it. Yellow is they weren't so certain. And red is they clearly had some difficulties with it. So as an instructor, at the start of the class, I can see, oh, number 6 here. What evidence is there to suggest that learning can take place within the womb, not covered in the textbook? That's a case where they had some questions there. And I can also see where they felt that they really understood it. This is an evaluation where they get to apply their metacognition, and sometimes they're on the money, and sometimes as I ask questions I realize that they thought they understood it, but they didn't. But at least gives them a chance to self-assess. They then bring to class a writing assignment based upon the previous class meeting, and so here I have where they can view the directions for that writing assignment. And what I like about using Google is if I find there's some spelling error or if I find out I need to make a change, I can make a change on the fly. And it's there then for everybody to see live. And I can also post an example paper. This is at the beginning of the semester so that they kind of see uh, what what a sample paper might look like that a student turned in and the feedback that I might have given the student. So that helps them when they do their writing. And then, as mentioned, they also do an annotated bibliography. And so they click here and I let them know what I expect from an annotated bibliography. It's really nice that I do this as a Google document because as the semester progresses, what I want from the annotated bibliography might change. And so rather than me going and updating this for every single class as a separate document, they all point to this, all the links for each class point here regarding the annotated bibliography, and I can make a change in just one place. By that I mean, here it says annotated bibliography, see directions. And as you see for the next day, it says annotated bibliography, see directions. Those both point to the same page. When I created this human development course with this particular style, I did everything pretty much online. And so Moodle plus Google was really helpful to create this class on the fly. For subsequent semesters, I printed out the written directions and the critical thinking questions and put it all into a workbook that the students were able to buy at the bookstore so that they have all that material both printed out visually that they can see as well as online. So that's just a little idea of what you can do with Moodle plus Google.